clicker?
Yeah.
Oh, you're just sorry. All right. I have a confession to make. When I go to the grocery store and I'm standing in the checkout line, I just can't help but look at all the covers of the gossip magazines. I feel fairly comfortable admitting this to a room full of strangers because I'm pretty sure that you guys are all guilty of the same thing. There's just something so shamefully fascinating about the lives of celebrities, isn't there? Now, as a theater scholar, I am trained to analyze images, to think about what I'm looking at. And so after all of these many years of looking at the covers of these magazines, I do have a few questions. Why is it that it's mostly women on the covers of these magazines, and that they are being portrayed as either unmarried and out of control, or as well-behaved wives and mothers? What is it about our society that we take such pleasure in the public ridicule of these famous women's lives? And where do we get the sense that we actually have a right to put these women on display? Like many historians, I look at history to answer my questions in the present. And I have found that this practice of the public censure of women's private behavior is actually as old as America itself. And I also found that the plays of the Revolutionary era were the first venue in which these same characterizations that we find in our gossip magazines today were featured for the first time. In order to understand the story of America's obsession with keeping tabs on its women's behavior, we actually have to go to France, to the thinker Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Rousseau was concerned with creating an orderly society. He believed that man was naturally antisocial, but that if given the proper training, he could learn the rules he needed to exist harmoniously in an organized society. If he is going to learn these rules, however, education needed to begin at birth. This put the responsibility for the training of young citizens firmly on the shoulders of the mother, for it was her who had the most influence over children in their formative years. Rousseau held up the figure of the mother as a savior to liberate man from his chaotic first nature. Now, this idea spread like wildfire, and the mother became the symbol of social order. There was just one small problem. As much as men revered the idealized nature of motherhood, they distrusted the changeable nature of the pregnant body. They felt that this made woman naturally unstable and actually prone to disorder. They also were suspicious of the fact that she seemed highly suggestible to strong emotions and could lose control of her own emotions at the least provocation. The idea was that if we could instill strict surveillance, then women's natural weaknesses wouldn't get in the way of their patriotic duty. Now this, Rousseau's ideas of order and the maternal spread to America and took root there, I think because America itself was in a state of barely controlled chaos. This was especially evident in the urban centers. This is a picture of Philadelphia, where there are all classes and cultures crammed together in overcrowded buildings along dirty streets. And for America's leaders, this chaotic social body bore a striking resemblance to the unrestrained female body. It's no coincidence that at this time, whole forests of books and pamphlets were published to teach, especially white, especially middle-class women, how to control themselves. If you could tame the naturally disordered female body, then the same restraint would filter out to the rest of the nation. A major topic for control in these pamphlets and books was female sexuality. Now, men believed that sex was only good for women for the sake of procreation. Sexual desire was a masculine trait. And if women were to exhibit sexual desire, otherwise known as lust or passion, then she herself would be acting like a man and would be crossing a border into masculinity, becoming a hybrid creature, as unnatural and dangerous as Frankenstein's monster. But, as women of this time knew, even if the men did not, this idea of a lack of sexual desire in woman is a myth. This means that male leaders encouraged women to deny a major innate part of themselves that was also intensely connected with this job of mothering that was required of them as a national duty. The symbol of American order, then, is a woman divided from herself, split in two. Now, the theater of this era dramatized these male rules for feminine behavior by representing both sides of the divided woman. The first of these characters I call the mega mom. The mega mom is free of any of women's natural tendency to disorder. She is calm and quiet and obedient. In Gothic dramas, which was a very popular genre at the time, the mega mom was mostly represented by women who either had no children of their own or whose natural children were missing, but become mothers through the circumstances of the play. An example is Madame Lamott in Fontainebleau Abbey, who becomes a mother when she is given charge of the young virgin Adeline. She takes this duty very seriously, even putting herself in danger to ensure Adeline's safety. Now, in a Gothic drama, the world often begins in a state of chaos, and it is often this mega mom figure who puts everything to right. It is her calmness and her commitment to her duty as wife and mother that guarantees a good outcome. This occurs in Fontainebleau Abbey when Madame Lamott refuses to leave her husband's side when he is charged with a crime late in the play. In the end, her husband is pardoned, Adeline is restored to her birthright, and equilibrium reigns supreme. Now, if the mega mom is society's dream, then the drama mama is society's nightmare. The drama mama is a woman who has no self-control, and this lack of control is highly contagious. Her inability to safeguard her virtue leads her either to death or insanity. A consequence of insanity comes up in the play Bertram, in which the tragic heroine, Imogen, a married woman, is convinced by her former love interest, Bertram, to meet him privately. Major no-no. During their meeting, Imogen is overcome with passion and she kisses Bertram. Directly after, her son enters the room, and this visible reminder of her marital obligations drives Imogen insane with guilt. She is last seen raving to herself, blindly rushing through the forest and into the darkness. Imogen's kiss was a kiss of desire, not duty, proving her to be harmful to herself and others. In between the figure of the mega mom and the drama mama lies the figure of the virgin. Now, the virgin is a very volatile figure because it is the intensity of her sexual appeal and the constant need to safeguard her purity that drives most of the action in these plays. In Fontainebleau Abbey, Monsieur Lamott's predicament arises when he refuses to force the virgin Adeline into a relationship with the evil Marquis, who has been driven insane by the intensity of Adeline's sexual allure. Her chastity is always at risk. This means that the virgin is always the mega mom to be that is constantly at risk of becoming the drama mama. Now, these three figures reveal a fascination with the public display of women's private behavior. Women at this time were constantly watched by friends, family, social leaders, even themselves, to make sure that they never broke any of these rules of proper female behavior. This public censure of women was seen as a national duty vital to the health of the nation. It is this same kind of commitment to the publicization of women's behavior that is at the very heart of the kind of reporting that we find in magazines like People and US Weekly. But the fact that we are actually still buying into this ideology is evident in the fact that these newspapers and magazines continue to be published month after month, year after year. So the next time that you're standing in line at the grocery store, seemingly innocently glancing at these headlines, just ask yourself, what exactly is being put on display here, and just whose fantasies are these anyway?